just going to be looking at himself the whole time.
I remember I hadn't seen him in like a month or so, and he came back to visit, and he was just staring off in the distance, and I turned around, and there was a mirror. I hadn't seen me in so long, but...
I don't remember this, but
mirror.
I'm sure it's true.
Bluebird.
That's
And
right.
now you remember.
I'm sure it's true. Are we rolling already?
It's already recording.
Okay.
Are we already rolling?
Or another day.
We are recording.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's live.
It's the Jack
And Kathy,
Show.
shit show.
and there we go.
Yeah, how was that?
Okay,
Did you like
I
that
think if yeah.
Okay.
So we have all this. But then again, we have 6 listeners, so.
So who
And
cares?
2 of them are my mom because she watches it twice.
The other 2 are us. So.
Yep.
We're not
Alex
even.
will see this one.
Alex
Hi,
will see
Alex.
this one,
Alex
yes.
always sees.
She's the
these.
only diehard
Well,
listener
Sam listens too. Her husband.
by default
Her.
because it's on.
Oh,
It's
maybe
just the
because
house
he's in the
listens
room.
to it.
What's that?
Theo listens to it.
Theo does. If that's its
Theo's
name.
gonna
It's going to be like Colby or something like that.
I think it's going to be Jack.
the name.
Yeah.
Sam.
JJ.
Sam.
Maybe.
Colby Jack.
Maybe
like,
John
like
Sam.
cheese.
Maybe JS.
Jack Colby. Like
Yeah.
the cheese.
All right. So here's what we're going to do because we don't have a lot of time with you guys.
Okay.
All right.
How much time have we got?
Probably.
Well, you guys want
You guys have to
dinner
get to
by
dinner,
7,
right? By
so-
7?
Well, Zingerman's closes at 7, so.
Yeah.
So you
that's
guys
what
got to
we're-
bolt here by 6:30, 6:35.
Cool.
The latest.
Have you guys heard of this by any chance? It's all over social media.
Well, before we go
Okay, you
there,
got to stop crunching.
I was
Yeah,
going to say,
is
you're
that-
killing
water
me.
bottle. That is killing our
it
sound.
just went. So, wait, before you do that, can we,
Yeah.
can we introduce them?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, hold on a second. You moved your mic, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, you did, because you're
Careful.
You're peeking
careful.
out.
Careful.
peeking. Okay, good.
All right.
All right. Okay, so can you introduce yourselves, and why don't you go first, Sam?
Okay. I'm Sam.
All right.
I'm Kelly.
That's awesome. Great.
We'll elaborate.
Son of
So-
Jack.
Daughter of Jamie.
Okay, excellent. That's great. No one's going to listen to this at all. Okay, so why don't you...
This is your son. and
this is
his
my son
wonderful-
Sam and his wonderful
wonderful
girlfriend Kelly
Exactly.
with an I. And spell check always makes it a Y. And it's really
Spell
annoying.
check.
It does. Autocorrect is just annoying.
So we're here in Ann Arbor. We just watched
It is autocorrect.
Maryland play baseball.
We watched
Sam
watched
plays-
Michigan play baseball. Maryland did something else altogether.
Yesterday, Maryland whooped
What'd you do
them.
today?
Watched Maryland play baseball against Michigan. So anyway, we're in Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to have them as a guest on the show. And they said yes. And they have to run and get dinner in 30 minutes. So Kathy and I do this thing at the end of every podcast. But you know that because you guys watch it. So at the
I've
end,
been on before.
You have. At the end of every podcast, we ask each other a question to get to know one another better. We've been doing it for 3 years. And then we ask our guests the same type of question. So they're relationship questions. Look how intently, Kelly,
Yeah.
I'm getting nervous how she's staring at me. I don't know.
She's nervous. She's not sure how
I
this
have
is going
sweat
to go.
dripping down my arms.
Do you?
Yes.
Really, no one listens to this except
Take
my
a deep
mom
breath.
and Alex.
It
That's it.
just happens.
So
Fun experience.
we've been using a bunch of different sources for it. He's just going to stare at himself the whole time.
Yeah.
So we've been, there's this thing called The Skin Deep, and it's on YouTube, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. It's just relationship stuff, and it's awesome. So they have a series of questions in these boxes called The Skin Deep, and this one's called The And Couples Edition. And so what we're going to do over the next 25 minutes is we're each going to have a card, and we're going to ask each other a question. So it's going to go like in order, like Kathy, Jack, Sam, Kelly, or whatever, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to be given a question, and then, or do you want to have the partners ask questions of each other? That'd be more interesting,
I think
right?
that would be better.
Okay.
Yes.
So you guys are going to start. Cool? Pressure?
Yes.
All right.
So much.
I'm going to give you a question. That's yours to ask Kelly. You don't ask it. It's just yours to ask Kelly, and then that's yours to ask Sam.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask this one.
You have to.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
we'll see what that is later then.
I get it.
I don't want to touch the mic.
Okay. Good? All right.
I'm going to drink my wine. Carry on.
I feel like I've asked you this.
Okay.
Perfect.
So And then it's not for, it's he answers, but you don't have to reply to the question. Make sense?
I feel like we're gonna get a lot of like stuff we've already discussed together.
I
I
love
know.
that though.
That's awesome.
That's good though.
That's good.
That's good.
Because no
Let's
one
give it a
else has
shot.
heard it.
Okay.
And that's the point of this.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Sure.
Go.
Go first.
Describe what you were like before we met.
Oh. I was way different. A lot of people think of how happy, bubbly, almost carefree, I guess, I am now.
Oh, I thought you were going to
I
say
thought you were gonna
before
say
you
before
met
Sam.
No,
I
no.
feel like,
You were
oh,
happy and carefree.
right.
Like
And
very
now that you've met Sam.
Oh, God.
very
I was getting all nervous.
optimistic.
You were very what? Sorry.
Like
Pessimistic?
I was optimistic. I'm optimistic now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very much on mindset and how you think about things and try to see the good in situations and
Oh, I love that.
all that. Where before I was very one-dimensional in the sense that I had one goal and I didn't have any other aspects. So
Almost
If
like a
that-
myopic viewpoint of something.
Was it just sports? Is that
it was pretty much my identity was sports.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if that wasn't going well and if I wasn't being recognized for that, then my whole persona was just people when they saw me thought I had a resting bitch face. I was angry all the time. I was just miserable. But not with you.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
What is it about Sam that makes it different? What changed in you?
Well, right off the bat, I always say how much he challenges me. And there's been a lot of stuff that I've needed to work on to be a better person. And half of it was I didn't know where to start.
Yeah.
And then the other half was I never wanted to. For
Oh.
I didn't have enough motivation to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was kind of like, I could do all this work, but what's the outcome?
Oh.
Where he kind of was like, you need to be better in these areas or I won't be a part of your life. And that was one of the biggest things I need to work on was self-respect in a sense. And I saw how much self-respect he had and I wanted him to be in my life. So that was the motivation I needed to be better. And then it also gave me areas where I needed to improve. And then within like the year-long journey of doing all that, I very much enjoyed the person that I've become. I almost look back on the person I was a couple years ago and I'm like,
Sounds like growth. Sounds
lot
like
of growth.
A lot of growth. Can I ask, at first when you started to be given that perspective, did it hit you in a really positive way, or did you find you had some resistance to it first? Like, what are you talking about? And then like the walls start to come down and you start to see it a different way.
well, a lot of it was kind of stuff that I feel like after they were brought to my attention, I was like, that just makes sense. Because I did have a lot of walls up and a lot of unlearning of habits and just the environment I was in. I had to get rid of a lot of stuff.
I get that.
But I always trusted his judgment from the beginning. And it was also the things that he was saying I also wanted. They just were never there before. And so immediately I was wanting to make that change. But I was also just petrified that when would the last straw be?
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, I had to make the mistake in order to grow from it.
Yeah.
But I was like, I just hope you hold on for
Yeah.
the growth aspect of it.
Wow.
You know, there's a couple that specializes in relationships, and Sam knows we've talked about this before, called the Gottmans. You can look them up. They're amazing. And they've got all these, they've been studying relationships for 40 years now. And one of the things they talk about, which is interesting that you're bringing this up, is that good relationships are open to influence. Meaning, not that your partner tells you what you have to do, but sees a path, because a good partnership, am I saying this correctly?
Yeah.
Each person is open to influence. So being influenced by and influencing the other person. That doesn't mean changing. So there's a distinction there, right? It's a little bit of a nuance. So it sounds like that's what you were experiencing was I'm open to growth. I'm open to change because someone sees this. Does that describe it accurately?
Yeah. It was like nothing was ever necessarily wrong. It's just there was room to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody that you respect, admire, and love is encouraging you to see something a different way. I think that's awesome. Good one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Your turn.
All right. What's a memory from your childhood you most want to remember?
Most want to remember?
Yeah, I didn't read that part until just now.
See, they're good questions, aren't they? Christmas. Anything.
Just because your father's sitting
a
right
lot of
here
things you want to
does
forget,
not-
apparently.
I'm thinking like childhood.
Wow, this
I
is
was
a
gonna say, I could
stumper.
think of one that wasn't childhood. That was like a couple years ago.
Yeah. But that doesn't
Yeah.
count.
What is nothing?
I mean, I had like some good memories, but I can't. But nothing stands out as
That like you want to remember, like you want to go back to again and you relive that day, or
Or you remember it very distinctly. Because
Okay.
some childhood memories are foggy. You can't, and others are crystal clear.
music related. Doesn't have to be. I mean, you're still relatively young, so it doesn't have to be when you were 6 or 10. Could
I
be
know.
21. Nothing.
I'm 21. That's not childhood to me. I'm 23.
I know, but it's
It's
at the rate we're going.
90% there. I don't know. I don't really have many like childhood memories that I like really want to remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fair. Don't always have to have an answer.
I
All right,
mean,
Jack, is this mine?
yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
want to? Did you think of something? I don't want to cut you off.
No,
But-
I mean,
okay.
I just there's not too much where I'm like childhood speaking. I don't really like want to remember it all.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of my positive moments in my childhood were also predicated by negative moments accompanying them.
That's interesting.
So I like there's every time I thought of like a good memory, I was like, okay, but this also happened today.
Meaning like something was challenging, but something positive came from it?
No, it was
That way?
like something positive was derailed by something else happening.
Got
or
it.
There's always like it's paired with a negative memory most
Got
of it.
it. Okay.
And I guess that's all I'll say about that.
Okay.
All right. That's fair. All right. I'm going to ask Jack this question. What did you think you missed out on while being in this relationship?
So many other women.
That is true and stands true
Okay.
for the rest of your days. Next question.
Next. What did I miss out by being in this relationship? I can pick one thing. It's pretty obvious.
What's that?
Being away from family.
Yes.
Because
That's
I
true.
moved to Wisconsin, so that's hard.
We've talked about that before. And in fact, we talked about it on the road trip here.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Describe specifically the moment that you realized you loved me more than any other person you've ever known in your entire life.
There's a
Does it
little
say
bit
all
you
that?
added to the
Well, no,
card.
it says you loved me. I added a few things.
The moment that I realized I loved you?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I loved you on our very first date, but it was the best first date I'd ever had. How about that?
Because I was so sexy.
Well, it wasn't just that. You were very
Tall.
We talked
Athletic.
for 6.5 hours,
We did.
and it was magical.
Good.
And I would say within a few weeks, I was like, damn,
Hmm.
I'm really digging this guy.
Cool.
And even when I said it to you first, I said, I love you first. He's like,
Yeah. I
Nice.
did.
back up a little bit.
Balls.
She said it early and often, and I was like, we got to stop.
And I would
I
just
did.
pat him. I'd say, don't worry, you'll catch up.
Yeah. I was like, you got to stop.
I said, you'll catch up.
That's
sound
kind of
familiar?
funny because I
Is that
tell
what
him
you
he's
said?
got to catch up.
I was like,
You
I
said
know
he would catch
how
up?
good this
She always used to
is.
say that to me.
I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
I know how good this is. You'll catch up.
I mean, I truly said to her when I'm like, you got to chill. You got to back off. Yeah. All right, your turn.
He even told me a
Sorry.
story of when he told you that I dropped the L word.
We were
That's what I
saying,
call it.
Yeah.
we were in Iowa talking. I'm like, dude, you kept asking how things were going. She dropped the L word. And you went, damn.
Run.
And I went,
Fucking run, man.
trust me.
Yeah.
Psycho
And she's from Wisconsin.
Right.
Was my exact
So we
response.
have that in common, Kelly. We knew before these Honar guys
I
do.
wasn't saying it.
Yeah, you didn't say it?
No, I said it back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he didn't say, you said it first or he did?
No, I was never gonna say it first.
Oh, wow. I was misreading that. I
Got
thought it was
it.
the other way around.
Okay.
No, but she always did used to say, waiting on me to catch up, though.
Oh, got it.
Okay. All
Cool.
right.
All right, what's next?
When was the last time I surprised you, and why?
Last time you surprised me, like literally? Because I can say the time you literally showed up in my room and I fell into the wall.
There's any type of surprise.
What? You didn't know he was in town?
No, he was literally in my room and he told me to go in my room and I was on my phone trying to FaceTime. So I was looking down and I opened my door and there were just men feet. And I got so scared I screamed and fell back into the wall and proceeded to cry for 30 minutes.
I came off like a dick at first, too, because I heard her come in and I'm in her room and she
I didn't think
sits
you were
down
a
on
dick.
her
I thought
couch.
something else.
She sits down on her couch.
You're
You FaceTime
FaceTiming.
me. And I was like, are you in your room?
Because I
She's
told
like,
you, as soon as I get through that door, I'm already calling you.
So she's like, no, I'm not in your room. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm about to have to text her, like, well, I don't want you talking to me while there's a bunch of roommates that could be around, so go to your room to call me.
Just because you knew you were there, you
Yeah.
wanted to surprise her.
Right. Because I couldn't come out of her room. I was just waiting for her to come in.
Oh my God, that's great.
Oh, those are good surprises.
I feel like you surprise me a lot in small ways, though.
Mhm.
Which is different things you say or do. The most recent one, small one, was after one of our smaller arguments. The next day, the way you just immediately kind of tried to fix it without actually fixing it, you put in the effort. So I was like, okay, I actually feel heard, and that was just a nice way to start my day.
Wow.
So this makes me think of, how people talk about love languages. Have you guys talked about that? Like what kinds of things have the most weight in your world? How would you each answer that?
Pretty much the same.
You're both the same?
I think
Yeah.
mine's changed.
Hers are a little different from when we first.
Do you mind sharing
Matt.
those? What
Well,
they
we're
are?
both very physical touch
and quality
and
time.
quality time.
Mm-hmm.
And we both suck at talking on the phone, so that's perfect for long distance.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean you suck at it? You just don't like doing it?
It's just
Yeah, I don't like reaching out or talking to people on the phone.
Okay.
I'd rather be in person with them, experiencing it with them instead of talking.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely way more words of affirmation, reassurance than I ever thought I was because
Yeah.
I used to just not care, never really heard any of it before.
Mm.
So it's now that I do, I'm like, all right, I actually need that a lot more
Yeah.
than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Wow.
I get that.
And have yours changed at all, or there's a top two? My
Those would be my
funniest
top
story
two.
about you is when you did the love languages, and you probably don't remember this, and you had said you were going to come over to help, and you three kids had just done your love languages, and I actually did it at work. I made people work for me to do it because I was trying to understand how they think. I think it's fascinating, personally, but Sam comes over to help. He's like, so we're doing work today, right, in the house? He was at his mom's at the time. Oh, what would you rather do? He's like, we haven't played catch in a while because it was, say, springtime or whatever. So I said, sure, let's just play catch. And he goes, really? And I'm like, yeah, let's play catch. So we didn't do any work, and we played catch in the backyard. And then, so you want to do anything else? He goes, well, I wouldn't mind going to Emmett's and watching whatever's on TV and have a burger. I went, sure, let's go to Emmett's, watch TV. Then we come back, and he's like, I wouldn't mind watching Bill Maher. And so we ended up watching Bill Maher, and he's 6'1" at the time. I think he was in college or COVID or something like that. You know the story. And we sit on the couch, and he falls asleep with his head on my shoulder. And that's when I went, that is the funniest thing, that it feels duplicitous saying it, but it works. You know what I mean? Like if you know what someone else wants and you show up for them, it's amazing how much better the relationship becomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys feel that way about each other?
Yeah, we always say how much we feed off each other's energy, and that's why a lot of our issues do come from just being apart. It's very hard to, because I'm not very good at the words of affirmation. I feel like I'm not good at communicating as much. That was the biggest thing I had to work on from day one, and just let you know, it's still the green light, but it did turn off.
What's
He just
turned off?
can't look at himself anymore.
Is it still recording if it goes to sleep mode?
It's still green light, so it's still recording.
Hold on a second. Keep talking to the camera. Just
I think the
Oh,
camera's
yeah,
still on
here.
because it's still a green light.
It is. So just type in. Hold on a
Kathy
second.
Mac 1.
Yeah. Kathy's plural.
Oh yeah, you
Kathy's
used my
Mac
laptop.
1. Yep.
Capital C?
No caps.
Okay.
All lowercase. Kathy's Mac 1.
Kathy's Mac 1.
Nice.
There you go.
Thank you.
Still rolling, but now I can.
Now you can see yourself.
Yes,
One of the
we
things
wouldn't
that's
want
kind
you
of
to not
cool is
see
I was just
yourself.
telling Kath, there's this guy that we follow online, and he's talking about how if you're ever having a tough week in your relationship, the best way to solve it is, what did I call it? It's mutual something. Look, the two of them look at each other. It's hilarious. It's mutual, something mutual connection where you spend the entire week honoring what the other person wants. So never once thinking about yourself. So if you guys decide we're going to go see a movie, it's you going, I want to go see this movie, and Sam going, sure, let's go do it. And then Sam wants popcorn and soda, and you go, yeah, let's go do it. And he said that's the fastest way to get people back on track, is if you spend a week doing that kind of love language mutual stuff. I don't know if you feel that way about each other. I don't know what to do with my hands. Go ahead.
What happens if one of the two people refuses to?
Well, then it's not mutual.
Well,
Say
that
what you
defeats
want.
That's the
the.
whole thing.
No.
Oh, to say what they want.
to say what they want.
Well, that's the thing. You got to be open to saying this is what I want right now, and being able to receive your partners in that way. Kelly has a hard time doing that.
Kelly's a very hard time doing that.
I do, but it's also like for example, a lot of the things, like I have a tendency to people please,
Mm-hmm.
and so my first
I'm very
instinct a
similar.
lot is like I want to do something for him that he wants to do,
Mm-hmm.
and then if it's either he's not responding correctly or whatever it is, or whatever it could be, then all of a sudden I'm like, all right, well, this isn't what I want anymore, and I change my mind to what
Yeah.
I probably originally wanted for myself.
Yeah.
But then he sees that as I'm not telling him honestly. I'm just like, no, I swear I wanted to do this as much as you wanted to because I like to see you happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because I just was ignoring what I wanted.
Right.
But then when
Right.
it comes back, it just looks like I was dishonest in what I wanted from the first place.
Hmm.
You know,
I
it's,
can kind of get that.
Kat,
that
you struggled with that.
yeah, absolutely. You worried that I was just always saying yes to whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, you also said you weren't used to having someone take an interest in what you wanted to do.
Correct.
Do you feel that way? That you're surprised that you have someone like Sam who has a genuine interest in what's important to you? Is that new
I
for
feel
you?
like he's probably the only person I've ever felt
Really?
that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And that takes some getting used to, you know?
Do you feel that way? It takes some getting used to?
I mean, I'm clearly not good at it yet,
Yeah.
so still
Yeah.
getting used to it.
All right, next question. You had one for Sam.
Mine was, what was the last trip that connected us the best and why? But I was like, we haven't necessarily been on trips. We've been visit.
Oh, I guess
Well, with your
visits can
long
count.
distance relationship,
That's
you
gotta
have
be
visits.
tough.
Probably
yeah.
spring break then.
Yeah.
What was spring break? Jersey?
She came out to Iowa City. Because I was, Maryland.
Oh, yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That was fun?
Oh, it was awesome.
It was good. She also got a chance to meet the people I'm spending most of my time with,
Yeah.
which was really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Disconnected us because, in a bad way, because of Moth, the game we played.
What do you mean?
We play a game, my team, called Mafia, and it's all about deception and stuff like that. And so, our tradition is like on Tuesdays. If we win on Tuesdays, we'll go to the team house and we'll end up playing Moth and drinking some beers.
Okay.
But it was basically down to the end, and it was me, Kelly, and 3 other people. And
Did we play Mafia together at Christmas time?
No.
Okay.
No.
But is it?
It's not
deceit
a
game.
board game.
Sam
but
and I
it's-
have
yeah.
both, like, in my head, we're both really good at it, but for 2 completely different reasons. He is such strategy, memorization,
Mm-hmm.
like figuring out like the answer essentially, where I'm just sitting there, no clue what's going on, but I just have I read people.
Yeah.
And so
Oh.
I read
You're following your
that
instinct.
like 3 people. I
How
didn't
it
know that
feels.
3 people could even be at that point, but I was like, I'm feeling these 3 people,
Mm-hmm.
and I was right. And
Did you beat?
So anyway, it was basically up to me to decide who we vote out next and who's bad and who's good. And so we were all zeroed in on this one person who turned out to be bad, but then Devin goes, just your girlfriend. You have a read on her. Is she dirty? And I look at her, and she does the same thing she does whenever she has a good card. in any like card game we're playing, she'll like be like, "Oh, I don't know," but then like the bottom left part of her mouth will twitch. And so
Gotta
she
tell.
did that, and so I was like, "Oh my god, she's in the mafia."
Were you?
We
No,
immediately put her off.
I
and
was
it
right.
Oh.
And then they won. And I looked at them, and I was spot on with my 3 people.
Oh my God, that's
So-
right.
I
and
messed
I
that one
looked
up.
at him, and I was like, you didn't trust me.
Wow, that made for an
So I
interesting
messed that
night.
one up.
It's okay.
It's okay. You'd rather lose the game than lose to me. And that's understandable.
It was a point of pride. I refused to
understandable.
lose to Kelly.
That's understandable.
Do you mind if we
I
have
can
them
live with
continue to
losing.
ask questions instead of us?
No, I don't mind.
I don't give a shit about us. We talk about us all the time.
We do.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You want to bang both of these?
Yeah, just ask them. It's okay. Are they uncomfortable?
I'm very uncomfortable.
How so?
They could be sex
Are
questions.
they sex
They're
questions?
not.
No, but they're just.
I'm fine with you. I mean, they're both kind of the same thing. I can speak more on it.
I just don't want to.
Okay, we don't have to.
You don't have to. Do you want two
Give me another
more?
one.
Yeah, we'll try.
You only get 3 choices, and the third one you have to do.
Okay. All right. Well,
You like those
No,
better?
we can make up our own rules.
Do you want to go first or me?
You can go first.
In the
do you
time
want
we
me to
have
go
shared together, when have you felt resentment towards me and why?
Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm curious.
I'm thinking.
What was the question again?
When is a time he's felt resentment towards me and why?
Mm.
Um.
And you bypassed other questions than this one.
Yeah, they were worse.
Worse.
Uh-huh.
This is a pretty intense question. If you ever go to watch the Skin Deep, I'm telling you, it's really powerful. It's really cool to see people connect. Husbands, wives, sons, daughters. Like, I'm serious, it's awesome.
All right.
Good.
Are you gonna get mad at me if I bring this up?
I have a selection of things I feel like you could. It's fine.
Would you like me to check it with
Have you
before
resolved it?
Have you
Whatever you're
resolved
bringing
it?
Up,
For the most part, yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Then you can frame it in that.
You can frame it so I know what you're talking about.
God, the last thing I want to do is cause a fight
Oh,
tonight.
yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, in the way I see the events having happened is that during Kelly's soccer season, there was a lot of stress from long distance
Mm-hmm.
that I was bringing onto her, and there was also her stress from her season, and it didn't start how she wanted it to, and she wasn't, like, you weren't having the performance that you thought you wanted to at the start, right? And I thought a lot of the season was predicated by, like, for me, her season was very much predicated by, like, me trying to support her and trying to be there for her for a lot of the stuff. And unsuccessfully trying not to add too much stress given the long distance relationship stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then,
You were.
what's that?
You were adding stress?
I was adding stress, yeah.
Yeah.
But the way I also saw it was that I was doing everything I could to help her with her stress from soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And there came to a point where we had been in a discussion about something, and she had explained to me that she felt like I was the one to blame for her season not going how she wanted it to.
Mm.
And it's since been resolved and since been made clear that that's not how she meant it, but at the time it was very, like,
It's hard to hear.
and also, like, in my eyes, it was like I was staying up all night trying to talk to you about how to help you and trying to be there for you. And so after all that, I felt like I was trying to do. Being told that was tough.
Mm-hmm. Even though it wasn't your reality, it was probably hers, though. Right?
I don't,
You know what I mean?
I don't know if is that 100%. Do you still stand by those words or no?
No, I don't blame you for my season. Like,
Yeah.
But my interpretation of that season was still different than how you view it.
Right.
Because I look at it as I never blame any outside source for my actions. Like, I don't really blame my coach. Like, I think he's stupid sometimes. Sorry, Dave, if you're watching this. But
He loves this show.
I know. Shoot.
He's
Dave, actually, you're a genius.
He's a huge fan. Comments all the time on YouTube.
That's right.
But yeah, I don't ever blame other people for something that I'm doing. Like, I'm clearly not performing well. But I also just know that how much like I cared and loved Sam, that if we were arguing or for whatever reason, anything that it was and stuff that was going on between us, I know I would show up to practice sad and like just wasn't my normal bubbly self, and I'm very bubbly in the morning. And
Right.
then
Your heart was heavy.
and then my coach was telling me that my body language was a lot of the reason I wasn't playing, and I never even thought my body language was bad. And so it was like the way it came off was like, you made me upset, so I performed bad, which wasn't how I meant it. It was more so I was just trying to explain that, like, yes, you were very supportive in a lot of areas, but with our long distance, it did add more stress than you realize on me. And I don't blame you for my performance, but, like, there was still just struggles that I was bringing to soccer.
Yeah, they're connected. They're
The har-
connected events.
The hardest thing to hear in a relationship, because we deal with this sometimes, and we've gotten much better at it, is that you can do all the best things in the world, and despite all your best intentions, someone still feels the same way. And so we practice this phrase, and I don't want it to seem duplicitous if you've heard it used in any conversations that I've had with Sam or anything. But there's a phrase that I love saying, and we say it easily now and naturally. That's not what I meant, but clearly that's what you felt, and that's what you heard. So how do you need me to show up? And that's what you said earlier today was, I just wanted to be heard, right? And sometimes in those moments we get in solve mode, all of us, right? We want to solve something for somebody. And the best, look at him. He's not even
defensive
paying
mode.
attention.
No,
No,
I'm
he
looking at
is.
her.
He is.
But do you know what I mean? And so he has a role, you have a role, and he has a role in each other's lives. And he may not intend to hurt your feelings, but he is. And he may feel terrible he did, but he doesn't think he did. And the bottom line is, those are your feelings. And in my opinion, they're non-debatable or negotiable. And you may not like the fact that I'm having them, but I am. And you're having a role in it. And so sometimes that's hard to hear on the other end, right? You can appreciate that. That's just a hard thing to navigate. Right?
No doubt.
Learning intent doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, it doesn't. And it's hard on the other end to step into, fuck, man, I really was doing all these things I thought I was doing right. I mean, we had one massive discussion where I ended up calling our therapist going, I really thought I did everything perfectly here. And I got nope, you missed that one little cue where you need to step away. And that's hard because I think the intent is, his concern was for you, right? Do you feel that way?
Well, I felt a lot of our issues at the beginning that we've had to work on a lot throughout was because of the things that I had put up in my walls and my past issues.
Yeah.
My intent was never anything bad.
Yeah.
But, like, I
You were a little more
caused
guarded.
feelings and things on him that I never wanted, which is why it was so easy for me to fix them and, like, very much try not to repeat any of them. And without an issue either.
Yeah.
But it was still, the damage was already done, and I never intended for any of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you've talked about it and recovered. Your turn.
What's a memory from your childhood you most want to forget? I think I know the answer to this.
I have a few. I don't know. Because I look at a lot of things that have sucked, and like my whole experience at LaSalle was horrible. But I was telling my one friend who's struggling with stuff, and I'm able to give her a lot of advice.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't regret like really anything. I try not to because I learned something from it. And I'm like, I feel very wise, and I'm very good at giving advice to people, and I like helping people.
Yes.
And I would not be able to do that without those experiences. I feel like the one thing, and I want to know if you were right or wrong, was there was a time, and same thing, I was just feeling a way that my parents were feeling about me regarding my brother. And I didn't want to talk about it, and I was running away, and they forced me to. And then as soon as I told them, my mom started crying, and then I was forced to go apologize to my mom for making her feel sad. And I learned in that moment that No matter how I'm feeling, I have to apologize for hurting your feelings, and that my feelings essentially don't matter, which is why I very much struggle with him and other people in general with saying how I feel, because I have such a huge fear of upsetting people because of it.
Oh, isn't
And
that
I
a
think I would have
powerful
been
and unfortunate correlation we make within ourselves.
And I try so hard to get rid of it, and I don't
Mhm.
even realize I'm doing it half the time. But it's just
Right.
been so ingrained for so many
Right,
years.
right, right.
Kathy's friend who listens to our podcast, oh, that's the seventh person,
Yeah.
once said that because we were having a discussion about how feelings take priority. And so, if I'm hearing your example correctly, is you had feelings, but then your mom had feelings, and yours had to go to the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Nancy often says, or she said to Kathy and I, that her and her husband, when they have discussions, if she's bringing up her feelings, that's it. And she'll say, this is about my feelings right now. I understand you have some. We are solving my feelings first. And so she's learned to set those boundaries for herself, because that's really what it is too, right? You have to be able to say to any partner, mom, brother, coworker, Sam, hey, this is about me right now. We'll get to you in a second, but we need to talk about my feelings. Because you're clearly going to have effects on other people. How does that resonate with you when you hear that? Is that hard to do or think about doing?
Yeah, he tends, and I agree with him, I shut down. Because my family was extremely non-confrontational.
Yeah.
No one talks about anything.
That's
at
my
all.
background too.
Yep.
It really is. Yeah.
And he's very opposite, where he wants to solve everything right then and there, where my natural instinct is to, I can forget about this, I can move on, I'm not that upset, and I know that builds resentment, and that was something I told him I didn't want from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And so he forces me to talk about things, which most of the time I do, but I also, literally, my mind will go blank, and I try to speak, and I cannot get words out, and I cannot think.
Yeah.
You know what the hardest thing for me to hear, and Kathy can attest to this, because we'll have a discussion, and I'm sitting in solve mode. And what do you say? We need to table this.
Yeah, I need time out. I'm not a fast processor. Like Jack is a fast processor. He can have ideas and responses. The next day I'll be like, so here's my thought on that issue yesterday. You know, I'm a slow processor, and I also am very concerned about hurting the other person. But I've also learned, and it's taken me a long time to learn how I internalize if I don't speak up for myself, how that manifests physically in me if I don't. And I want to be better at that, right? And I have a partner now who is willing to listen to that. And I often stumble through trying to explain that. But I also recognize I have to push through that because I have to be heard now. And so I'm really impressed with you guys, because you are so young, and the way you're able to have this dialogue is something that I probably started to learn for the first time in my 40s, 50s, and now in this relationship, I'm still growing, like you're saying you guys are, and so I'm just very impressed with how your self-awareness, your even vocabulary to express yourself. So
pretty impressive.
My adjectives.
I think you guys are awesome.
You haven't had any malapropisms that are...
No, he makes
This
fun
is
of
another
my...
thing I'll make fun of her for, because I'll be like, so what are you upset about? She said, well, I'm not upset. I'm just a little dismayed.
Like, I want my emotions to be portrayed
She's got a
exact.
thesaurus of words to
I'm like,
describe
I'm
it.
not angry. I'm just a little frustrated.
You know, speaking of anger, I had, we have to go in a second, but
We do.
I had someone say to me once, anger is either based in fear, if somebody comes at you or something and you get pissed, that's a fear-based anger. But it's often, if it's not fear, it's hurt. So there's pain behind the anger.
Yep.
And if you, even within ourselves, can peel back that layer of anger and come to understand why we are hurt, like where that pain is coming from. So anyway.
All right, two last questions, because you guys have to go in 2 minutes. So that's a fun question. Ready?
Okay.
If you could, because I had this at a meeting, was asked of me. I was meeting people in networking. If you, what's one thing you collect? Something you could say you collect right now. So it may not
Right
be intentional. Is there something you collect? Like, for example, I said by default, I have 45 baseball hats. Like I didn't mean to collect them. I just happen to have 45 baseball hats. What's one thing each of you can say you collect?
Stickers for my guitar case.
Okay, that's cool.
Nice.
Come on. I know what you collect.
You need to carrot.
Well,
What
no,
is
but
it?
that's another thing.
What do I collect?
Shot
Pennies?
glasses.
Oh, I do. I
You do
collect
collect shot
glasses.
glasses?
Oh,
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I try to find the weirdest, craziest one.
Oh, that's
from
cool.
Other places.
I collect coffee mugs.
You do.
Still
Mhm.
really good.
You collect
Mhm.
coffee mugs,
Mm-hmm.
and I break them accidentally.
Yes, and
The one she collects.
that works
All right,
well
last-
because I
last
can keep
question.
collecting.
Last question for each of you, and thank you for doing this because I know you got to run. You're going to get some
Yeah.
good sandwiches, which are fantastic. Zingerman's, they sponsor this show. Try their food; they're fantastic. If you could teach
Try the veal.
something, try the veal. If you could teach something, what would you teach?
You go first. I don't know.
Hitting.
What level?
Hitting?
Okay, see,
Yeah.
that's the
Nice.
level we're
Wow.
going
Okay.
on then.
What would you teach? Hitting people, you mean, or a baseball?
Mostly children.
or puppies.
Or puppies?
I don't know if I could teach something. Does it have to be something I know how to do?
It-
do you
No,
There are
because
no
I said I
parameters
would
to it.
like to teach corporate culture, how to have a better work environment. That's not something I'm a specialist in. I just have a point of view.
All right. Well, then, on more of your note, less of yours, I was gonna say I'd want to teach people to be able to separate their identity from their sport.
That's awesome.
Nice. I like
That's
that.
very cool.
I like that.
I like that. That's a good way to end. Okay,
Yeah.
so then we always do this when we end. Look at the camera and just say peace.
Peace.
Cool? And 3,
Peace.
2, 1.
Peace.
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 Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
You just listened to another episode of the Jack and Kathy Shit Show. All recording, engineering, and production provided by us. Connect with the podcast on Instagram at Jack and Kathy Shit Show for more insight into our shit show of a life. This episode is proudly brought to you by Pint Productions.
Point.